Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Be Free with Dr. C. I'm so happy to see you all this evening, and I'm grateful that you decided to hang with me. I apologize for the delay because we have a very important topic for this evening. Many of us going through this navigating the profound journey of grief. And I would like to acknowledge two of our loved ones that passed on. My husband, for one, Carl Amity Sr., and my sister, Anna Parker Lee. I'm thankful to God for the blessing that they shared with me and others here on earth, and their memories shall always be a blessing. So I think we're going to get started with the conversation topic: navigating the profound journey of grief. Navigating the profound journey of grief. You know, grief is unavoidable, it's painful, and humans experience this process of life transitions. And we grieve. And when we grieve, it's not a sign of weakness. It's something that we all will share, we all will go through in life. But one thing I do know that we have to acknowledge the loss. We have to do that. We have to acknowledge the loss, and we should not try to avoid or suppress grief because it's necessary. It's necessary to grieve. And when you don't acknowledge grief, it can harm the body and spirit. And you may ask, well, how can it harm the body and spirit? You know, it can harm the body in so many ways. And we're going to get to that in a few minutes. But facing death of a child, a pet, a job, spouse, a parent, a close friend is one of life's most difficult experience. Grief is very common. Yes, it is. It's very common and sometimes misunderstood, an aspect of life, but it's common. And at one time or another, we all must go through the grieving process. And I'm going through that right now. And in my studies on grief, I have learned that there are many types of forms of grief. And I'm beginning to understand that differences in grieving is the key to being able to move forward through the grief process in a healthy way. And one of the healthiest way is to acknowledge your grief. And by acknowledging your grief, you can come out on the other side in a positive way. But if you choose not to deal with grief, it can have a long-term negative, lasting impact on your life. Now, allow me to share some of the difference in the different types of grief. Yes, there are different types. There are different types of grief. One of the griefs, normal. Number one is normal grief. In itself, it's normal when you suffer a loss. It can range of emotions such as physical, emotional, or social behavior. And for example, a physical reaction to grief. And I want you to listen to this and try to place in your mind if this pertains to you or someone that you know. For example, lack of energy, nauseous, having heart palpitations, restlessness, tearfulness, feeling weak, an actual tightness in your chest. A tightness in your chest that would make you think or feel like you're having a heart attack. These are physical reactions to grief. Example of behavior reactions to grief. There are reactions, behavioral reactions to grief. Forgetfulness, confusion, absent-mindedness, dreaming of the person you've lost. I can relate to all these. And there's examples of emotional reactions to grief. Misplaced anger, loneliness, shock, in shock, numbness. You don't feel anything. You're just numb, numbness, anger, angry, and you don't know why you're angry. Anger, denial. Oh, I don't believe this. This can't be happening. But you're in denial. And believe it or not, some people say that they're relieved. They have relief. Empathy, irritability. Examples of emotional reactions to grief. And there's examples of social reaction to grief. Being unusually dependent on other people. I can attest to that. I find myself sometimes being attached, depending on other people. Avoiding family or friends is another one. Increased substance abuse. Neglecting yourself, but caring for others. Do we have a witness to that? Neglecting yourself, but caring for others. Not doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. Number 2, anticipatory grief or anticipatory mourning can be common if you're expecting the loss of someone close to you in the near future. You're anticipating the loss. You're anticipating them to leave. And some reason why people anticipatory grief is because they've been told that the person is going to die. And I've heard people say, well, this give, and it gave me time to prepare for the impending loss. And you might begin, beloved, by trying to envision life without them. Do I have a witness? This can be common in cases when someone you care for is facing a terminal illness. And we all know what a terminal illness means. And you might feel lost, or even you feel fearful or emotion for the dying person. You're thinking of the dying person. You feel the loss that they are feeling, or you think they feel. And it's common. There are some positive sides to that type of grief. Many people feel like they were able to take the time they needed to say goodbye, or to have conversations about forgiveness. When you anticipate, and it has an anticipatory grief, you feel that you have been given time to make amends with a loved one or a friend, forgiveness, conversations, spend more time with the individual, or just having the space and time to say, I love you. The time to say, I love you. Number three. Number three is complicated grief. Complicated. It occurs when your grieving process does not move all the way through the steps of grief. You might feel more depressed and have increased anxiety. Have you ever felt like that? It's complicated. And you're grieving, you're depressed, you have anxiety attacks. Complicated. Complicated grief can be prolonged and much more intense. And it'll typically have a significant impact on your ability to function. Have you ever been like that? Have you been in a situation where you're grieving and you lash out for no apparent reason? You can't think. You can't function. Everything seems to be out of place. You can't function. Complicated grief requires help from a mental health professionals. Yes, it does. A professional, a mental health professional. And it's very important to understand that complicated grief will not resolve on its own. When you're so messed up, you're so confused, you can't eat, you can't sleep, you don't know where you left this, you don't know why you left that. Complicated. And you need help, mental help. And a lot of times people feel like, it's embarrassing to seek mental help. But it's not a sin. It's nothing to be embarrassed about, because that's why we have people in different positions to help us. And grief number 4, chronic grief. Chronic grief. It results when extremely intense reaction to loss do not subside. These emotions will last for a long time and cause you to have incredible distress that continues to intensify. Chronic grief. You can't control it. It's really getting out of reach where you don't know what to do. You're distressed. It's intensifying. And you have difficulty making much sense of doing things to help you. If any progress is moving through your grief, you're going to need help so you can heal. Grief. Grieving as if there is no hope. When we get to that point, that's when we need help. And grief number 5, delayed grief. Delayed grief. It can happen if you're experiencing incredible, stark feelings of sorrow and longing, even if the loved one's death occurred a very long time ago. Delayed. When that person died, maybe you didn't have that feeling that they're really gone. They're no longer here. And you somehow shut off from reality. And you went about your day doing whatever you used to do and doing whatever you want to do. And you'd feel nothing. You don't feel the pain. You don't feel the sorrow that take place when a loved one passes away. There's a name to that. It's called delayed grief. And somewhere down the line, it hit you like it just happened today. And it happened 10 years ago. But you just come into the process of grief and grieving. Delayed grief. It can be felt for years, like I just said. And you feel the loss at the present time. And it's essentially means that your emotional reactions, it didn't take place. Not when it happened, but it's happening this very moment. This might be due to disassociating, which is common when things are too painful for you to feel. It's common because everyone grieves differently. And there's no limit on when and how to grieve. Things are too painful for you to feel. Have you been there? Do you know what I'm talking about? Can you cope? To cope, your mind blocks many of the thoughts. That's how some people operate, by blocking out reality. Blocking out. You block out many of the thoughts, emotions, and feeling associated with the loss until you're ready to process and deal with them. Are you there? Have you been in that situation of the mind? Blocked. Thoughts, emotions, and feelings. Grief number 6. Grief number 6. Distorted grief. It can be defined as a very intense or extreme reaction to a loss, such as noticeable change in behavior, overall, extreme reaction, noticeable change in behavior. Have you noticed that? And self-destructive behavior is also common. Noticeable change in behavior overall, self-destructive behavior, common. It's common. Anger and lashing out, both towards yourself and others. Do you find yourself doing this? Do you find this behavior in you? Lashing out, anger towards others, yourself, blaming yourself, feeling guilty, thinking it's your fault when it's not. This is one of the most common emotional symptoms of distorted grief. Grief number seven. Number seven, cumulative grief. It happens when you experience a second loss shortly after. Let me say that again, because this hit home. Cumulative grief. It happens when you experience a second loss shortly after or while you're still processing grief from a first loss. My family and I, we're grieving that right now because of the loss of my husband, loss of a cousin, loss of my sister. My sister, the month of October, 2 to 3 weeks later, my husband. And I do believe a day after my sister passed, one of my first cousins. And we're still processing the loss of our loved ones. And this grief, also known as grief overload. That's what you call it. When you're experiencing more than one grief, one after another. Grief overload or bereavement overload. This can be one of the more difficult forms of grief to recover from. Grief overload. Cumulative grief. And it say it's hard. It's hard to, and it's more difficult to get over this type of grief. But we know that we can, and we will overcome. We'll never forget. We'll think about our loved ones every day. And we're still going to grieve if that's what it takes. But we know that it's not unto death. Compounding loss can result in a feeling of, I just can't do this anymore. How many of you have felt like this? You know, you've lost a loved one, you've lost a job, you lost your pet, you lost your livelihood. I just can't do this anymore. But I'm here to tell you, beloved, with the right therapy and guidance, you can move through all types of grief, including cumulative grief. We can move through it. We shall move through it. And grief number 8, aggravated grief, includes more intense types of reaction than what you typically see in any other types of grief. When you're aggravated, your emotions and actions may become more noticeable and destructive. Let me say that once again. When you're aggravated, your emotions and actions may become more noticeable and destructive. You might experience self-destructive behavior. You might experience nightmares, thoughts of suicide, of self-harm, drug or other substance abuse, or even abnormal fears. Have you been there? Are you there? Additionally, sometimes aggravated grief can result in the development of a psychotic disorder. And we don't want that. Am I right? Now, I'm going to do a 2-part of this, and I'm going to stop right there because it's about 18 of these griefs that we probably did not know or recognize. But I want you all to come on, and if you would like to share, if any of this open your mind or your eyes to what could be going on in your life, or if you know someone that you would like to invite to be a part of this podcast. On next Sunday, we're going to do the other part of part 2. But it's a deep subject that we all, in one way or another, can relate to this. If you experience self-destruction behavior, if you experience or experiencing nightmares, if you have thoughts of suicide or self-harm, drug or substance abuse, it's time to seek help, because it will not go away on its own. So I'm going to pause for a minute and see if anyone would like to come on and just say hi, good evening, or to share. If you want to call out a loved one name that we can lift up in prayer during our spare time, to just pray for one another, because grief is really, it's hard. It's common. It's necessary. And that's what we're going to do. Whenever we have a loss, we grieve. But we don't stay down and grieve forever, because we know that we will overcome. Is there anyone who would like to say something? And I don't see anyone on the line. I see Aunt Banu. If no one would like to speak or no one would like to say anything, I want to just thank you all again for your time, and thank you for coming on and not leave the uh, the podcast. I appreciate you. I do recognize that we have some first time family members who's on here tonight, and I want to say that God bless you. And one day I would love to meet you all, and we can share face to face. Now, until we meet again, see you next time. Peace, love, joy, and happiness. God bless you.